Don't forget that this tutorial is part of a series of tutorials which you can access on our YouTube playlist, or alternatively, if you would like to, you can purchase the whole course on Udemy. There should be a link to the YouTube playlist and a link to our Udemy course, which should always provide the best price in the video description. So here in Django, migrations in Django is a system for handling database schema changes in a structured and organized manner. That's pretty much the textbook answer to what is Django migrations. Now, in this tutorial, we're going to just discuss a little bit about Django migrations, start to understand the purpose and familiarize ourselves with the migration process. Right, so let me just see if I can set the scene and then we'll have a look at some diagrams. So far, what we have done is we have built some Django models. Now, we don't have a database at the moment. Of course, we've just got some Django models. So what we need to do now is to synchronize those models that we've been creating over the last couple of tutorials with the actual database that we're using. Remember, Django supports multiple types of databases, MySQL, I nearly said PHP then, Postgres database and Oracle database. We're going to be utilizing the SQLite database to begin with, and then we'll migrate later on in the course to maybe a Postgres database. So throughout the lifespan of our project, we need to make sure that our models are synchronized to exactly how the database schema is created or set, defined within our database technology. The Django migration system, it plays a crucial role in synchronizing the database schema with our Django models. So it's great because it facilitates this in a really seamless way, applying the changes to the database if we make any changes, and it really does reduce the risk of data loss or inconsistencies. Let's take a look at the general or the basic workflow that we're going to be working with in this section of the course. There's always more to learn, and I just want to introduce it at this point of time so that we can get to learn the basics of using the migration system and actually migrate our existing Django models to a database. So take a look at this simple workflow. We have our models. We're kind of at that step at the moment, right? So we've just built all of our models. So now what we need to do is run a few Django commands. So first of all, the first step is to run the make migrations command. When we run the migrations command, Django analyzes the current state of our models. So it looks for all the models in all the apps it knows of, and then it also checks the database and then creates a migration file to represent the changes needed to transition from the current schema to the desired state being the updated models. So in the first stage, when we don't have a database, Django is obviously going to look at our models and then generate a migration file. So for each migration we run, for each make migrations we run, what happens is we create a migration file, and that is found in a directory within your app. And it's normally named something like 001_initial.py, and the next migration we make, there'll be another record 002 and so on. So a file is created, a record is created every time we make a new migration, every time we make changes to the database. So this is what I meant by migrations enable developers to manage and version control changes to the database schema, because what we're doing is we're making changes to the database, but we are recording via a file system. We're recording the changes that we've made, which means that if we make a mistake, potentially we can roll back. So potentially, because we are creating and saving a record of what we're changing, if we do make a mistake, we can roll back to the previous state. So that's the first step. We create a migration file. And then we need to run the actual migrate command. So the migrate command is used to apply schema changes. And it knows what changes to make because the make migrations file is in place. So we have all the instructions that we need to actually make those changes to the database. Once we have issued the migrate command, the changes are made on the database, and then it should reflect the updated state of our models. So now we're ready to actually migrate our models to the database. So in the next tutorial, we'll go ahead and actually run these commands, and I'll give you some additional information which will help you manage the migration process.